Hi, welcome back. Now in this lesson, we will be discussing the PSLE questions from 2006 to 2010, specifically on the theme of cycles. Now I'll divide this video into two parts. This part will be on the life science section, and the next one will be on physical science, still on the theme of cycles. Let's get started. This is a plant reproduction question. Pollen grains from the male flower somehow going through a certain process through the female flower, going through another process, and this on to ovary becoming something and ovule becoming something. If you are familiar with the parts of a flower, you know that ovule, alright, becomes the seed, and the ovary becomes the fruit. So if you work backwards, for this to happen, fertilization must have happened. And for fertilization must have happened, you must have pollination. And let's see, pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of the male flower to the stigma of the female flower. So let's see if we have gotten it right. What is Y? Y is seed. Okay, we have two options. X is fruits. Okay, two options. Let's take a look at B. B is fertilization. A is your pollination. So the answer is 2 for question 2. Now let's take a look at the next one. That will be question 8. This is also from plant reproduction, and this will be on your seed dispersal. Now, as you can see, if you look at the features, soft hair looks like parachute-like structure. Alright, this kind will be dispersed by wind. With hooks, is meant to hook onto the fur or feathers or the body of animals. This will be dispersed by animals. So answer for this is 3. This is the next one. It shows 2 flowers from the same plant. This part will be the stigma. This will be the anther that contains the pollen grains. So those with the male reproductive cells come from this part. Alright, so this is your anther and anther. So this must be talking about pollination, right? And pollination happens when pollen grains are transferred from. So it must be only from either D or B. Okay, let's see. B. Okay, I don't see I don't see D here, so this cannot be the answer. And if this is the anther, and the pollen grains will be transferred from B to C or B to A. There's no B to A, but there's B to C. So an insect come over here, rubs the body on the pollen grains as it reaches out to get the nectar, flies over the next flower to get more nectar, and then the body brushes against all the parts here, including the stigma. And that is when the pollen grains from this side, from part B, get transferred over to the stigma here. So the answer for this is number 2. Let's go to the next question. Now the concept in this question is about how flowers attract pollinators. And of course, you must use skills of reading a table and using a flow diagram or flow chart like this. The table shows the characteristics of some flowers and animals which they attract. Different kind of flowers. The chart below shows the characteristics of some of these flowers. So they're asking which 2 types of animals would flower A and flower B attract. So let's take a clear look. So flower A is white in color. It is small. Whereas our flower B is yellow in color and is large. Let's take a look at flower B, yellow and large. So yellow and large. Attract animal R. So flower B attract animal R. One of these 2 options. How about flower A? It is small and white. Let's look at small and white. So small and white attract animal S. So attract animal S, that will be this option. Answer is 4. Let's go to the next question now. Now this question tests if you are able to interpret graphs and of course understand the story here and look at the relationship. The graphs show how the number of flowers of plant A and the number of butterfly B change throughout the year. Given that butterfly B only feeds on the nectar of the flowers of plant A, which one of the following graphs is correct? Given that butterfly B only feeds on the nectar of the flowers of plant A, so these are the two lines. So I'm going to use a pink line to represent the flower line. Okay, so all this dotted line will be the flower line. This helps me to see things with greater clarity. If this is my exam paper, I will do this and I'll advise you to do it as well. Which one of the following graphs is correct? So let's say if this is a relationship, I should see that this is not the answer, because it's like saying that whether there's more food or less food in the surroundings, in this environment, butterfly bee doesn't seem to be bothered by it. Not enough food, it will still stay at this number. Lots of food, it still doesn't seem to want to increase in its numbers, which is kind of strange. So this is a strange looking graph. By the way, for those who are doing this in the 2021, you realize that this question actually should not appear in your PSLE this year. We're doing this because I think the graph reading part is important. So learn to interpret graphs. But the idea here is about population and interactions between different organisms in the environment. And for this year, this question is actually not being tested. Now, let's take a look at this one. It is saying that as the amount of food increases, remember the pink color one represents flower, which contains the nectar that this butterfly bee wants. As there's more and more food, the population actually decreases, which is again very strange. Now, then the next two graphs seems very similar, but one of them is wrong clearly. Take a look at this. It's saying that the more flowers of plant, the more flowers A there are, the more butterfly B. However, this is wrong because it is saying that there's more butterflies than flowers. Wouldn't the many butterflies, actually wiped out the flowers and not using up all the nectar? Okay, so this one actually makes more sense. Usually, there's always more food than animals. So let me help you to recall this idea of the food pyramid. At the bottom here is always your producers, alright, followed by your primary consumer, of course, then your secondary consumer, of course, your top predator is here. And why is the base so large? The base is large because it represents that the population of the producers is always the largest in any of these proper environments where there is a distribution of producers and consumers and all that. Okay, anyway, for this, the answer will be 3. So let's go on to the next question, which is question 34. Still on the theme of cycles, we're now at the part where we talk about germination. Now, Silly carried out an experiment on the germination of seeds using 2 containers A and B as shown here. Let's make some simple comparison. Right, cotton wool seems to be the same amount. Number of seeds here, 8 seeds here. Then here, there seem to be many more variables that are different from this. It has water, no water. The cotton wool is wet for both cases. So these seeds here have some water, right? Because wet means there's water. The part above, the empty part, represents air. Of course, there is oxygen in air. And where is this placed? Well, they didn't tell us where it's placed, so I'm going to assume it is done in generally maybe either a classroom or garden, somewhere normal, alright? Not somewhere strange like inside a refrigerator. Especially when we see that the seeds in one of the containers actually germinated. So the conditions for germination is there must be some warmth in the environment, or like your textbook may say temperature. There must be the presence of oxygen, and there must be, of course, water. Now, the seeds with all these three conditions fulfilled will be able to germinate. Wet, yes, have it. Here, no problem with this. Alright, it has this. How about the next condition? Whether there is warmth. Well, assume to be placed in the same place. I'm going to assume in the same place. Same amount of heat. Now, last condition now, which is the oxygen level. Now, this one, it has air here, right, as oxygen. So, oxygen, no problem. For this case, it has all the warmth, oxygen, and water. However, for this case here, the seeds have no access to oxygen. Oxygen is all up here, above the layer of oil. The seeds are practically drowning inside, right? You see the water covering it, and the oil prevents oxygen in the air from entering the water. So in this case here, there is no oxygen. Therefore, container B, the seeds in container B could not germinate because it does not have oxygen, or it does not have air, and of course we have oxygen in the air. For question 34, the answer is 1. Let's go to the next question, which is question 37. Still on germination. Now, as you know, when a seed germinates, there's a certain sequence in which the parts will first come out. Roots come out first. Alright, very simple, because the plant needs water. So the roots will come out and start absorbing the water from its environment. And next will be the shoots. Right, first is the roots, then the shoots. The shoots are also important because they need to grow up above the ground to develop leaves. But this can come later because it doesn't need to make food yet, because in any good old seed, I'm going to draw one simple one for you to see. Alright, this is your seed coat. It helps to protect the baby plant that's inside this baby plant or embryo. Now, so there's no leaf, there's no food being made, right? So the food will be on this part here. It's like I will tell my students it's like the lunch box. And this will be the seed leaf, which is actually the food for the germinating baby plant. Sequence, roots, shoots. If you can't remember which one comes first, think in terms of, well, it has food, so it doesn't need to grow shoots and after that grow leaves first, but it needs water first, and that's what the roots are for, water. So therefore, which one comes out first? The roots that come out first absorb the water. Answer is 1 for question 37. Now this one looks like it, but it's not, because you see, this is like the budding young leaves that are coming out. And leaves don't grow downwards, they grow up towards where the light is. And this is the roots that's coming out. But roots grow down into the soil to find water, not go up into the air. Now, next question will be question 43. Continuing our revision on germination, now we have that inside a different experimental setup. Now, seeds were placed in 4 identical bottles as shown in these setups A, B, C, and D. Whenever we have various setups, we have to do comparison. And we need to look at the conditions given to us. Now we know that they're all at room temperature. Remember we talked about earlier on, we need to have warm, oxygen, and water in order for germination to happen. And why did I talk about germination? Because, well, we talked about, I see seeds, I see words like them. Alright, we talked about wetness, I see things like dry. So we talked about some of the seeds. So sorry, but I don't get any water, and I see oxygen, and of course, very obviously, and some of you are screaming at me, it's long, didn't you see this? Yeah, I saw this. Germinate. Therefore, it's about germination. So in which of the setups will the seeds most likely germinate? You must have all these 3. Let's take a look. Dry, I can already count this out, so C is out. If C is out, then of course 1 and 2 must be counted out. So I see damp cloth, I have water, so there's air, there's not stoppered, right? So air can be exchanged here, enough air all the time. So there's always oxygen present. So D definitely can, the seeds in D can germinate. Therefore, this option here definitely is possible. So then you need to look at A and B. Now they are stoppled, right? You see these two, unlike the rest. If they're stoppled, it means that there's no exchange of gases. So whatever inside the container, whatever air inside will contain the amount of oxygen it requires. If you look at these two containers, now we look at the liquid here. And this liquid absorbs carbon dioxide. Does it affect the oxygen level? No, it does not. It absorbs carbon dioxide, not oxygen. So this one, oxygen, yes, is present. However, not for the air inside A, because the air inside A, well, it has oxygen, but oxygen is being absorbed by this liquid. There's some chemical reaction going on. So oxygen here, not present or not sufficient. So B, the seeds in B have a good chance of germinating. So it cannot be 3. Answer is 4 for question 43. Let's go to the next one. We're going to work on a different concept now. Let's go to question 25. Now, question 25 is under the theme of cycles, definitely, and under human reproduction. This kind of question haven't been seen for a while, but it's good to always know and to learn. So if it comes out, well, you are being prepared for this. So study the family tree of Tom. The family tree shows the members who are either tongue rollers or non-tongue rollers. So it could be complicated, so I always have to use colors to help me out. Male tongue twister. So where is Tom? Tom is here. Okay. Now they want us to know which one about the family tree is correct. Let's see. I'm going to assume right now, right, this circle means woman and white color circle means female non-tongue roller. Square means male and white square means male non-tongue roller. A says Tom's parents are tongue roller. This is Tom's mother. This is Tom's father, and they give birth to 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. Tom is one of the boys, and take a look here. They are both non-tongue rollers. So number 1 is wrong. Tom and his brother are non-tongue rollers. Now this is a darkened square. It says male tongue roller. So this is a false statement. Tom's father has a brother who is a tongue roller. Now this is Tom's father. And this is Tom's father. This is Tom's father, okay? Let me call him James. And this is James's father, right? And this is James's mother. And who are all these people? They are James's siblings. So in other words, this James's father is Tom's grandfather. Now we say Tom's father, this person here, has a brother. So brother must be another square, either this or this, right? There are 2 squares here. Who is a tongue roller? Well, it's true. Male tongue roller. So this is a true statement. Last one. Both Tom's grandfathers are non-tongue rollers. Now Tom is here. He has 2 grandfathers. One will be his father's father. One will be his mother's father. So this is the mother's father. This is father's father. They say both of them are non-tongue rollers. That is false because you see a dark square means male tongue roller. This is a false statement. Answer for 25 is 3. Now this question comes from the theme of cycles under life cycles of animals. There are a few animals that you got to memorize. Like a cockroach, a grasshopper, chicken, frog, mosquito, beetle. Right, these 6 different animals. You gotta know which one will have the in the 3-stage life cycle, which in the 4-stage life cycle. You gotta know whether they are young, resemble the adults or not. Alright, you gotta know their stages that they go through. The 4th-stage one will have your egg, larva, pupa, and adult. Whereas the 3 stages one depends. For some animals will be like egg, nymph, adult. Some will be just egg, young, and adult. Okay, now let's see here. Cockroach will be one of the animals with a 3-stage life cycle, a hyphen followed by a stage. Beetle has a 4-stage life cycle. Now, so let's see. Which of the following statements are true of a cockroach and a beetle? So it must be true for both of them. Firstly, I know C is wrong. C says there are 4 stages in a life cycle. That is true for beetle but not true for cockroach, so this is wrong. Anything in C is wrong. I'm left with just A and B. So, their young do not have wings. Well, that is kind of true. Alright. Their young look like the adults. That's not true for beetle. Okay, because the beetles adult have wings, whereas the young is like larva wiggling around, right? If you are in schools where they let you play and observe mealworms through its various stages in the life cycle, then you will know the young does not resemble the adult at all. Alright, so this is false for beetle. Okay, if it's false, that means the only answer for 18 is 1. Now, let's go to the last question for this video, question 41. Alright, this is a flow diagram or flow chart. So always start from the top, as in start from the point where arrows comes up. Life cycle, 3 stages, 4 stages, as I mentioned earlier on. Looks like adult, does not look like adult, look like adults. Okay, which of the following represents P, Q, and R? Let's start off with one of them. 3 stages, so P and Q must be animals in the 3 stages. Let's check. Butterfly 4 stage, wrong. Okay, I ignore the rest. Grasshopper 3 stage, frog 3 stage, okay. Butterfly, okay, wrong. Ignore the rest already. Grasshopper, possible. Butterfly is 4 stage life cycle, so that is also wrong. So the correct answer for question 41 is 2. Just to be very sure, to confirm, 4 stage life cycle, butterfly yes. Young of the butterfly does not look like the adult. That's true. The caterpillar does not look like a beautiful butterfly. So that's true. So just to recap, if you want to do an MCQ question, spend about between 1 to 1.5 minutes. That should give you enough time to complete the whole paper and give you enough time to check. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.